The Iran war is poised to get much bigger. We have a lull now. After 13 days of the U.S. striking Iran hard, suddenly we're in a pause. But it is suggested by Donald Trump that he has plans to strike Iran much harder, far bigger. And what we know is that the tanker ships that have been moved in the area, the other military assets, the special operations assets, everything moving in the area to attack Iran has grown very significantly, capable of supporting much harder, much larger strikes from the United States. So is the United States going to do that? Some think that Trump is just trying to give a big scare to Iran and a chance for them to negotiate again, even though he's come out finally and said that Iran never negotiates in goodwill, and they never will. So what's the point in that? I have a hard time seeing any point in that when we know all they ever try to do is buy time. They think they can outlast the administration into the midterms. But Donald Trump's resolve is kind of showing that that's paper hope that they got on their end. It may be a little too thin. But can the regime survive the pounding that they've had, especially the pounding that they may be on the verge of receiving? But it's getting even more interesting because there are more people getting involved in this conflict, or at least adjacent to it. We know that Kuwait and Bahrain actually went in with secret, supposedly missions, and actually had their fighter jets dropping bombs and attacking targets in Iran. Now, if you might remember earlier, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates actually were involved in some attacks in Iran. But Saudi Arabia and the Houthis down in Yemen, that's not the same as Yemen because the Yemeni government is separate. The Houthis are a separatist group that's carved out a portion of Yemen, which is their proxy force of Iran. And they are getting into it with Saudi Arabia, including striking major, ports for the, Saudi Arabia's put a pipeline across the country going to the Red Sea to try to offset the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. And the Houthis have struck that. No, they didn't take it out, but they struck it. So that's a very significant escalation, as you know, that they did it supposedly in retaliation against Saudi Arabia striking them. And there's been a bit of tit for tat between Saudi Arabia and the Houthis in Yemen. And there's talk of the Houthis trying to shut down the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which is called the Strait of Tears. Sometimes I have trouble remembering Bab el-Mandeb. It's quite a mouthful. But the situation there is that some people are concerned that we'll have now 2 global choke points put out. But a lot of people are saying as hard as the Houthis were hit in the last strike where they actually made a truce to the United States, that they really can't put up a full-fledged closure of that strait, and that they'd attempted it in the past and didn't manage to pull it off. So can they do it becomes a good question now. And would they do it, or would they just try to? Supposedly, they're focusing on Saudi Arabia, shutting off Saudi Arabia's transits through that strait, but it's not even clear they can pull that off. Maybe they can, but they are apparently in conflict right now to some degree with Saudi Arabia. But the most interesting plot twist of all is that Ukraine hit an Iranian ship in the Caspian Sea. Now, this was a ship. Some people are making a big deal out of the fact that the ship was headed not from Iran to Russia to supply weapons to Russia, but it was heading the other way, bringing something to Iran. Like maybe Ukraine is trying to enter this conflict too. Some of the more informed sources say they're skeptical about that, saying, well, probably not, that what they're trying to do is break a supply chain between Russia and Iran. Which way the ship's going don't make a lot of difference. It's still disrupting that supply chain. And basically, hey, we got a super chat tonight. Well, thank you so much there, Mendalik. I hope I said that right, or Mendalik. Anyway, thank you very much. All right, so guys, here's the thing. This this situation, yeah, you're going to hear a lot of snap out there about that. You know, some we're making a huge big deal out of Iran striking it because it was going toward Iran instead of toward Russia. But that's a good question as to whether that's significant or not. I think Ukraine has their hands full. They don't really want to get into an Iranian war. Now, it could be suggested maybe Iran's trying to pull the United States into their war or get some favoritism with the United States to give them more support. And we know that Trump has been meeting with Zelensky lately. You know, I don't know. Uh, that's all speculation. It's hard to really put a peg on any of it. One strike on a ship like that doesn't make that big of a difference. Of course, Iran is now threatening to strike at Ukraine. But Iran's also threatening to strike at the Royal Air Force Base. What's the name of that base? That the B-1 bombers. John Cole's in the house. Colonel Cole. John, what's the name of that base? It's I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're talking about striking at that base with some kind of 1,500 kilogram cluster bomb. You know, they actually have missiles that we now know could reach United Kingdom. How would they deploy them? Would they do it? You know, I think they're probably just making threats. I really have a hard time seeing them pull that off. But they might. They could technically because they fired two missiles toward actually to the area of Diego Garcia, which is our air base way down in the Indian Ocean, and that's 4,000 kilometers away, which puts Ukraine in, not Ukraine, that puts, yeah, them too, but that puts the United Kingdom, it must start with the UK, United Kingdom, Ukraine, in their crosshairs. They technically could reach the United Kingdom with some of their missiles, which they previously always said, well, our missiles can't go over 2,000 kilometers. So, you know, maybe that'll be a wake up the United Kingdom if they should try it, but anything going that far will be tracked for a long time. And I would imagine missile interceptors would take it out unless they've got something else up their sleeve to do a closer launch or some terrorist activity. Lord knows the United Kingdom don't have anybody in there from Iran now, do they, in their country? Huh? Would the United Kingdom let just anybody in their country? No, really? You know, good grief. United Kingdom's let everybody come in their country. So is it even a country anymore? If you don't have borders, how long can you be a country? I think that's a really good question. Oh, we got Gulf Shores in Alabama here. That's good to see. Got this thing over. So 12 Bravo, good to see you, sir. Snap 1A, salutations from Iowa. Very good. Laken Breath RAF. Okay, thank you for that. Laken, I hope I said it. Laken Breath, Laken Heath. Okay, Laken Heath, Royal Air Force Base. I knew Colonel Cole would come through with that. It's good to have you in the house, Colonel Cole. Well, we got to go. I got going just a little bit earlier tonight, but not a whole lot. I don't want to stay on here too long. Well, I'll give you a little update on my homestead here. I've got a cowpocalypse running right now. We've actually had a monsoon season hit. So we'll talk a little bit about that here after we do the new stuff, but not long because I'm going to have to I got to turn in not far from Panama. Hey, Shady, how you doing? So anyway, situation is that the war is getting broader. We know that a few weeks ago that Iran struck Syria for the first time, and the Kurds are getting more active. Not saying that they're big enough to make a substantial difference, but they are distracting some of the IRGC forces. So let's see what y'all think, because there's two possibilities, and the possibilities are that for the strikes from the United States, we have put a lot of assets in the area. We moved more special operation forces in the area. There might be some boots on the ground on some of the islands, maybe a little bit on some of the areas of the shore. I'm not talking any kind of major invasion of Iran. I don't see that. And maybe they'll go for some of the nuclear materials. We might expect they might, either bomb the snot out of Cargill and try to put it out of operation or try to seize it. we might see. Now, how would they do that when they're getting a lot of drones? And that's a good question. How could they actually take Carg Island or any of these other islands we've talked about through the many months here since this war started in May? Anyway, February, excuse me, 28th February, I believe it was. So how in the world could they take that island, given they were, going to be fired at constantly with drones and missiles? The missile launches have dropped off in numbers, which probably is a reflection of the fact, a couple of facts. One, that they lost a lot of launchers. They still have a lot of missiles, but they've lost a lot of launchers. And two, that we've been pounding the heck out of the entrances to the tunnels they have these in. Now, granted, they do go in and try to excavate out those tunnel entrances and get access and pull that stuff out and shoot again. That's what their MO's been. But guess what we're doing now? We're now attacking the excavators. Yes, the front end loaders, the equipment they use to dig this stuff out. We're attacking that stuff now. So they might have a little harder time digging that stuff out. But well, that's a smart move. The situation is, though, that if you get enough A-10s and the Apache helicopters operating, they can shoot down a lot of those drones. So that might be our chief drone defense is the A-10s and Apache helicopters. So it might be that we actually could take and hold something like Carg Island. Well, we'll have to see how we go. I'm not saying it would be simple. Captain Tripp says they can't take the island. Well, it would be a big challenge. I'm just putting out that, hey, Arnold Smith, good to see you in the house. Cage.us should had already armed the Kurds. Actually, we did give the Kurds arms, but we told them to hold back because it was relations with Turkey and several other things were complicating the matter. Allegedly, we gave the Kurds arms to give to the protesters in Iran. The Kurds kept them. So I think the only way to get a true regime change is to arm the people that were protesting back in December. As I said, that's what really needs to happen. Somehow we got to figure out some way to get arms into them. Yeah, there might be some international treaty implications, but so what? So going back to this Carg Island stuff, there could be something going on there. It could be that they'll just bomb the snot up. Maybe, I don't know. So there's some people are saying that Trump is still trying to get a deal. And he'll say that, but does he really mean that? Is that really what his intentions are? Some people are talking about Pickaxe Mountain. Now, Pickaxe Mountain is deeper than our bunker busters will go in some solid granite. But if you keep lobbing them successfully in the same hole, which we're capable of doing, you should, eventually be able to penetrate it, one would hope. Of course, you got rubble falling back in when you blow something up. But if you keep hammering the same spot with enough of them, you would think we might get through. And that's a possibility. That might just work. I wouldn't guarantee it. And there's some suggestions out there. I mentioned this a while back, and some other people started to talk. There's some talk about development of what was going on in the Bush administration was they had started a program to develop a nuclear bunker buster. And that program was theoretically abandoned. Well, it may have been picked back up because that would really be the only way to take those things out. Now, nuclear bunker buster going off underground, you got to remember, this would be a tactical nuke, not nearly as big as your conventional nukes, or even probably not even as big, probably dialed down to kiloton or something like that. I don't know, a couple kilotons, maybe 3 or 4, not 15 like Hiroshima or Nagasaki devices, which they are considered tactical nuke skill. Those are considered tactical nuke skills. So, you don't even talk about tactical nukes. They usually can dial them from a few hundred thousand pounds of TNT force to, a few thousand. So, maybe, they got dialable settings on a lot of those. So we don't know what they're got in mind. It could be that they got to have some kind of ground force on there. That would be extremely challenging. Before you do something like that, you definitely want to bomb all the bridges and power stations and everything in whatever area you want to put these guys into to try to disrupt the Iranian response in terms of getting actual forces in there. Yeah, you lose a lot of people in an operation like that. They might be able to get some of that stuff or destroy the facility. I don't know about actually extracting material. That's a very difficult operation. Those centrifuges that hold the uranium hexafluoride are very long, fragile aluminum structures with fragile tubes with highly toxic uranium hexafluoride gas in them. Highly toxic. Handling those, you just don't grab them up in a bundle and toss them in a helicopter. That would be catastrophic. So you got to handle something in a very fragile manner, like nitroglycerin almost, in the midst of combat. It would be easier to destroy the stuff on spot, in my humble opinion, than to try to bring it out. But of course, that would leave the material there, so maybe they would want to try to bring it out. Should they do that? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. It might be easier just to bomb the snot out of the place. So uh, that's would definitely cost less lives. Just keep trying to lob some of the conventional bunker busters in one after another. I hope you can actually get penetration. I don't know, but the situation there is fraught with a lot of danger if you're going to put ground forces in the middle of Iran in a situation like that. Colonel Cole can probably tell us more about that than anybody, having been on the leading tip of going into Iraq. So he can tell you a lot about that kind of stuff. So, my friends, the situation there is probably about to really get big. Now, one of the things I said we ought to do is just bomb the snot out of them and then just pull out. Maybe get their nuclear stuff if we can and just say, okay, we got them degraded significantly. Europe, Far East, you countries, the ones who depend on this stuff, the Gulf Coast states, you depend on getting stuff in and out. It's your baby now. We've knocked it. We've knocked the dragon down, or the Iranian regime. Very significantly, we pulled a lot of their teeth. Now you take over. We could do that, declare victory and leave. So it's your baby now, because we're not dependent on that strait. It's not something we, the United States, are dependent on. What we don't want is that regime developing nuclear weapons, because then they're a threat to everyone. I've talked about in the past how it's in their religion, how it's in their constitution to spread their Islamic revolution. The revolution wasn't just taken over in 1979 when they took our hostages. They consider everything they do to be part of an ongoing revolution, which is the overthrow of the world. And that's why they set up all the proxy forces. That's why they're willing to take the beating they are and hold on to their highly enriched uranium. They do not want to give that up under any circumstance, because of their actions speak louder than their words. Yeah, sure, they chant death to America, death to Israel, call us the big Satan, Israel the little Satan. And sure, it's in their constitution. Sure, it's the religion. But you could say, yeah, that's all words. But their deeds fully back up their words. And that's what got my attention. When I saw the level they would go through to hold on, this will not be over. The RGC is removed. Exactly. Now, some people say, well, we need somebody to negotiate with. So you can't just blow everything out and then have just any group take over and negotiate with them. Bull crap. I think the protesters are the answer. We got to arm the protesters. It's not the RGC down enough to allow the protesters to be able to stand up against them. And let's let Iran run cover for them. Iran's already showed that they could do air support for the protesters, taking out RGC Basij's force checkpoints, that the protesters could call in strikes that Israel could respond. They've already done that. So I am full agreement with Colonel Cole that if we leave them in charge and leave, we will fight this war again one day in the future, and it will more likely than not be on their terms instead of ours. Now, we got them knocked down real heavy. I think we ought to finish the job. Some of you don't buy that. Some of y'all don't like that. But that's where we're at, because what I'm telling you guys, and you may not believe it, this war was going to come sooner or later. The question was, whose terms are we fighting on? That has been a point I made. And what's brought that home, see, I've covered you guys that it was in their constitution. I covered how it's in their religion. I have covered that they have evidenced it by growing all these proxy groups and sending them out all over the place and all the mayhem that they were setting up through that. But that was only the beginnings. To them, their proxy groups aren't really proxy groups. It's them. That's who they are. You got to understand that's actually a fundamental piece of the puzzle. That's who they are. They are Hezbollah. They are Hamas. They are the Houthis, the RGC. They're all one and the same. So, yeah, Shady, it may be God. And so they're one and the same. One and the same. The RGC imported the new Mahdi army, Shia militia from Iraq. They're the ones who massacred tens of thousands of Persians last January. Yes, yes, that's what they did. So, guys, they don't care about their own people. They don't really. Now they do. Some members of RGC, since a lot of the economy of Iran is owned by members of RGC, they may care about finally seeing their economic base completely knocked out from under them. Some of them might care about the money, but it's the religion that they hold the dearest. And that's why they've been willing to take such a beating and not give up the highly enriched uranium. Any Western country would have said, hey, we've had enough. Here, take this stuff. Anybody who thinks like we think would have said, take this stuff. We don't want it. This is too much trouble. But no, Western minds can't comprehend how these people think, how they behave. And, you know, if you want to see what the truth in something is, you don't have to listen to words, see what somebody does. Actions speak louder than words, but their actions back up their words 100% fully. Seeing what a beating they're willing to take says it all. Totalitarian bariums go boom. There you go. Whoosh. Whoosh. That's a good name. Yeah. So, Stan, how you doing? Mops, not Moabs. Anyway, so this is what we're looking at, guys. Now, Moab is a fuel air explosive bomb. They are good for large explosions, but not really a penetrating bomb. It's not a penetrator. So it's another little thing. Carl Cole, correct me if I'm wrong. Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. Well, that's a good name. I want to start putting more farming, gardening content on this channel. I've started recording some stuff. The Shiites are radical Islam. 20% of Islam found in Iran and Iraq and Iran. 8% of Islam is Sunni. Yes, found worldwide. Exactly. You do have some of the Shias in Syria. You did have some there. In Iraq, but are mostly in southern Iraq, although Iraq is divided between Kurds in the north, Sunnis in the middle, and Shia to the south, but the Shia is the largest group in Iraq. Saddam Hussein kept them under his thumb. I think one of the strategic worst mistakes we did was going in and taking out Saddam Hussein, because he was a buffer. He was a wall against the Shia movement. When we took him out of, oh my God, now we're going to have to deal with Iran. You know, he was kind of our buffer for Iran. So maybe he wasn't a nice guy. Probably none of them are. But it is what it is. So now we're dealing with them. But like Colonel Cole said, the only thing that's viable is to take the IRGC out of power, regime change, in my humble opinion. It's not my humble opinion. It's bigger than that. But that's what I'm putting out here, guys. I'm not going to pull back on that. That's what I can see. It's evidenced by how they act, how they react, what's in their constitution, who they say they are, and what they do. Their actions back up their words more than just about anybody. So if you can't look at their constitution, if you can't look at their religion and see what they're telling you they're going to do, and then watch and see that they are doing that, then God help you. I know some people that can't see. If you put a bull right in front of their face, they wouldn't believe it was a bull. They might believe what's coming out the other end. RGC are not native Persians. Most of the people, 80 to 90% of the people in Iran do not want this regime on. This regime came in and made a lot of promises up front. Oh, we're going to have all these great and wonderful things. And it was basically a lot of the kind of stuff that Mamdani over in New York kind of promises he is making. And they got hoodwinked big time. Essentially, they lied. Told the people, what the country would be like when they took power. Oh, no, there's nothing like that. Nothing like it. But that's what usually happens. And people buy into that stuff and buy into a hook, line, and sinker and go run with it. And then later they get caught with the receipts. So there you go. Not a pretty picture by any stretch of the imagination. So my friends, for us preppers, there's always still the potential that, if the regime thinks are really about to lose it over there, they might unleash sleeper cells here in America. So, yeah, you need to be prepared. We need to be prepared for what's coming in our country across our borders, which the United Kingdom largely ignores. To their discredit. Well, I do know we got people from the United Kingdom that watch this channel, and a lot of them don't support what's been going on over there. So I hope you guys can turn your country around for the sake of Western civilization and your futures. Because globalists who have put those guys, let all this stuff happen, they don't have your interest in their heart. It's the same way with people over here. I think I'm going to do some videos on my Swivel News. I'm way behind there, but I'm going to share some articles here. And then I am going to talk a little bit about the homestead, and then we're going to try to wrap it up tonight. So, ding, 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 ding. Oh, hang on, I got to put it on the right screen. So, give me a second. That's when I go into Zoom, it throws me into a different screen on where I want to share. All right, guys, talking about the powers that be trying to put us into the globalist gulag. They do that largely through these corporations, because that's who's paying for the economic world. I don't know if I want to say it, the WEF Forum of Economic World. I'm saying it backwards here. What I call the House of Klaus. If you go on their website and look at the partners program, you'll discover who's paying for all that stuff, and it's these big corporations. And so if you look at your everyday consumer products, I've covered this. Probably need to come back to this and do more videos in this area. But what we find is that these products are full of contaminants. They're full of chemicals. They now these big corporations bought out most of them and took control over some of them. They started. They have added chemicals that didn't used to be in these products to extend their shelf life, to make them tastier, to give them artificial color, to make them more appealing, to make them more addictive. Just all kind of nasty stuff that they've added to substitutions of good stuff with bad stuff, like sugars have been substituted with corn syrups, which has got glyphosates in it and all kind of junk like that. They've took there's all kind of nasty stuff in these products. And the toothpaste, I did a video on toothpaste where I showed you that over 90% of the top brands have heavy metals in them, including the ones that are sold and marketed as being children's toothpaste. The ones that are sold and marketed as being healthy like Himalayan, blah blah blah, whatever. Just some of these brands you would think are just, oh, this is going to be nice, clean, and no. So I've warned y'all about that. I've warned you about the products the lotions and the shampoos and the soaps and dish detergents, the stuff that's in them. Because when you put that stuff on your skin, it goes through your skin, straight in your blood. And some of those are some of the worst products. Some of those are worse than food. And a lot of people don't get that. So before I've come all the way to stop supporting these big companies and this stuff. But what you need to see, even these big companies are mostly owned by your asset management companies, the biggest of which says these guys control 80% of the corporations. Just the three big asset management companies. And the biggest one is BlackRock. And BlackRock is ran by Larry Fink, who's also taken over from Klaus Schwab, now runs the House of Klaus. So, guys, I come all the way to switch away from all that. You get nice, clean, healthy products from not the big corporate entities, but an American family-owned company, a family-owned company that makes everything right here in America. And so that's a good thing. Not part of the big corporate conglomerate. They're good, safe, healthy products. And you can switch away from supporting all that in your big box stores by going to switchwithgreg.com, filling out this form. And a member of the community, my friend of mine, Lisa, will get back to you. This is my website. This information comes to me, and I share it to her so she can get you guys on board with this stuff. So that's her and I, the only ones that say it until you join the program, and it's just our family-owned company here. So there you go, my friends. I promised you guys for months before I set this up that I was going to come up with some way to get away from this stuff, and I did. I delivered on my promise. Anyway, so what the heck? Got too many things popping up on me here. Ding, 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 ding. Now, I open these websites up and I look at them and get rid of all that stuff, and I come back to them and they throw that and jump back up at me. Anyway, Trump pulls back after Iran crosses his red line. That's where they took out a couple of U.S. soldiers, what we're talking about. So we finally have pulled back from the 13 nights of striking them real hard. And, it's still up for debate as to what Trump's real plan is. Some people are saying, like I said, that he's just looking for trying to get them to the negotiating table. I wouldn't negotiate with these guys at all, because anything they trying to go, they'll be just trying to buy time. Allegedly, they put out a 10-day moratorium on the 10-day ceasefire, but all they want to do is buy time. They don't want to change what they're doing. They never will. They'll never negotiate in good faith because it's just not who they are. Bomb threat from Trump admin will force Iran to the negotiating table. See, no, I don't buy that. Well, they might go to the negotiating table. Maybe they'll have some terms. The terms that Trump put out to them before were ridiculously in their favor, and they wouldn't even buy off on that. Ridiculously in their favor. Some people said Trump knew that they wouldn't take it, but that maybe this is his reason. Okay, you offer them the sun, earth, moon, Mars, and they still aren't happy. It's like you're giving somebody a job in as a ice cream taster in an ice cream factory, and they can't stand it anyway. So Iran, again, this is on Iran striking a ship in the Caspian Sea. Now, if you don't know, the Caspian Sea is an inland sea right in the middle of Asia there, in the Mid East, Far East, Mid East. That's it's got several countries that surround it. To the south on the southern border is Iran. Russia's at the northern border. And what I've always said about the Caspians, Iran, is that we need to take out all their ports. If we want to totally chuck them off economically, hit all of their ports, make all their ports inoperable, including their airports. The rail lines, we've struck the rail lines. We've hit Bandar Abbas in the Persian Gulf. Well, we need to expand that, take out all their ports. And then what's the regime want to do? I think that's one of the more important things to do. We could just step back and watch them starve to death at that point until the regime just collapses in its own internal inertia. I think that would not be a bad way to go at it. So this again is about the pause, Saudi Arabia. Now, Iran saying they destroyed 11 U.S. fighter jets and helicopters over the 2-week period. They did strike our air base previous to this in Jordan, so they could probably be talking about that event. I don't know. Earthquakes, got a new one up here. It's only 4.4 in Tajikistan. Yeah, this is the Caspian Sea right here, guys. We might zoom in on that in a minute. A bunch of stuff going on in Alaska and Aleutian Islands, 4. I don't think there's anything on the charts that's over a 5.0 right now. So it's not any major big earthquakes right now. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. United States, got one in San Francisco, not right on the San Andreas Fault, because Texas is pretty active with earthquakes. Not surprising. Toyah, Texas, boy, we see that all the time. And we got up here one east of Salt Lake and northwest of Little America, Wyoming. Now, up here is Yellowstone, so that's a little bit off from Yellowstone. Our friends in Puerto Rico are dancing hard tonight as they used to do. Let's go over here and look at the Caspian Sea. Right, scroll over there on this map. This is not. Now here's the Black Sea and here's the Caspian Sea. So there's a lot of the countries in the area border it. We got Russia right here, Kazakhstan over here, Turkmenistan here, and Iran is down here. So Iran can use this for a lot of trade back and forth. This is a major trade route for Iran that I think we should take all those ports out. Tehran, the capital of Iran, is just right here. So this is the closest ports to the capital city. That's why I really would be in favor of us taking those ports out, not just focusing on the Persian Gulf. Anyway, enough of that. Let's look at space weather. Space weather. Sunspots. We see some fairly interesting sunspot groups like 4492. It's not spread out real big, but it's pointed right at us, but nobody's really talking about it. So Starlink's train alerts. Yeah, when Starlink, they did some suborbital Starlinks from this last mission, the Starship from SpaceX. So they all re-entered at once. Whoa, it didn't show me the picture of that. There, where it is. There it is. That's the debris from all the Starlinks coming in right there. I'm going to watch the video because it belongs to another channel. So anyway, we'll stop the share. So that's the news portion for tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about my little operation here. And I'll glance through the chat. We'll do the egg guess. We're not going to go so crazy late. So we finally got monsoons here. Now, the last 2 years, monsoon season was like south of me. Nothing was coming up here until after the frost hit. It was like, September, late September. No, it was later than that. It was more like November. I wasn't getting hardly any rain when my stuff was growing out here in the gardens. Nothing. It was pitiful. I've been watching all these other YouTuber channels in the desert. Oh, we get out of work collecting rainwater. No, it wouldn't have worked for me the last 2 years. Not at all. I got a rainwater collection thing here that should have filled up twice over if I'd had the average rainfall. You only got 400 or 500 gallons. So what tells me I got less than 4 inches, maybe closer to 3 inches of rain last year. Almost none. I did see it rain in some other areas around. I know east of me, they got some decent rain in Apache County, but I wasn't getting diddle over here. So I'm going to do a video on that topic, just rainwater collection. I got a plan to really do it at large scale. It's the only way I think it'll work here. It'll have to be a lot of collection too, because I actually use a lot of water. Right now, my garden last year, I was using about 100 gallons a day. My garden is 6 times bigger now. I'm not using 600 gallons. I'm using like 209 gallons a day on average day. Now, when my stuff all stops sprouting, I'm not going to water every day. I'm going to try to force it to go deeper into the beds or the roots. But with the monsoon season now, I didn't water today. I got off today. Now, I wasn't watering some. We got hit by the big storms on the 20th. And I just had my water tank filled up. And I was real happy. It was about 3 days I didn't have to water. But I lost 1,000 gallons of water without even watering. Why? Cowpocalypse. I've been here for I've been here off and on for 3 years, but I've been here continuously for almost 2 years now. And during that period of time, the cattle seemed to think that this was off limits area. They would not come up here where I was at. They would be off down west of me, north of me. They wouldn't come up here. I thought just they didn't like my human activities up here. I didn't know why they weren't coming around, but I was pretty happy about that. So the rains hit on the 20th of July, the 21st of July. It wasn't a cow or two, it was a herd. A whole herd of cows just come through my place. And he stayed. They suddenly figured out this is the happiest place they wanted to be. I had a bale. I just bought a bale of alfalfa hay, had it out there to feed my chickens. They totally decimated this. I hadn't even cut the strings on it. They totally decimated it. I had some wheat straw for putting in for nesting material. They decimated that. Some people told me they didn't mess with the wheat straw, but they did. They tore that bale up. I had amaranth come up from my gardens. I had amaranth about this high in some place. They ate it. They walked through my garden beds. Now, my main garden is fenced off. I did that last year where they couldn't get in. But I've not had the time and money to get everything fenced off just yet. I was planning on it. I had actually ordered fence posts 3 weeks before the cows showed up. And, I need tall fence posts because I need to put metal around the bottom to keep rats out. And then I was going to put hog wire around on top of that to keep cows and other stuff out. Maybe later add chicken warnings. I might let the chickens roam around such in these gardens. Well, you would think in cattle country you wouldn't have any problem getting 8-foot tall fence posts. Everywhere I went was out. And I bought them last year, the ones that's in the garden over here. I got those at Cow Ranch, which is a big store in Shola. Suddenly they just said, oh, we quit carrying them. And I didn't find them to other places at the moment where they had them. So I was tiffed. Well, I ordered them. And they gave me every excuse under the sun. Well, they get put on the truck today, this, blah, 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 blah. Well, they finally in. I'm going to go get them tomorrow. But I rented a trencher yesterday. And I've had it today, and I got to turn it in tomorrow morning. And so we've trenched around the perimeter of my gardens, my upper garden and the chicken garden, so we can put the sheet metal into the ground. It's got to go into the ground about a foot so the rats don't burrow under it. Now, my cats have been pretty good about controlling rats, but still, you do this in case of anything happening to rat, cats, or something, or the cat's missing some rats, because rats can be destructive to the garden. Although they haven't really bothered my chicken garden. Maybe they don't like sunflowers, maybe they don't like amaranth, I don't know, but cows do. Cows like the amaranth. They hadn't cared too much about the sunflowers. They chomped a few, but mostly they stomped through the beds. Chomp, 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 chomp. But I'm thinking they may have ruptured a water line. We're digging to try to find if they got a ruptured water line. I lost 1,000 gallons of water, which $100 worth of water. Just it cost me 10 cents a gallon. They ate up. Hay here is really expensive. What did I pay for the hay? $35 or something like that. Plus the other bill, I probably lost $40, $50 for the hay. All that chicken garden area they destroyed, that was intended to feed my chickens next, later in the fall and over the winter. So I was trying to cut down the cost of chicken feed. Well, now I'm going to have to pay more for that. So these cows are actually costing me a lot of money. They've walked through my beds in the upper garden, even though I had chicken wire on top of them. They didn't go into them at first because they were kind of reluctant with the chicken wire. being over a sunken bed. Chicken them up here and the ground level's down. But they suddenly decided, oh, yeah, these are fun to walk on. They just figured out they could do that and then start munching on that stuff. So these cows will probably show up about 4 in the morning. I run them off several times a day, every day, scaring, hollering. Sometimes I went outside shooting a firearm, not at them, but just, away from them, just to scare them. But they got where they're used to that. I've taken a slingshot out there to scare them away, and I just don't have much effect on them either. So I've got to get this fencing up, and I need to buy some electric fencing to stretch out farther. But I have stretched my budget to the breaking point. I don't have any money left. The sheet metal I bought going in the garden up there, $1,000, and I got it really cheap. I got a special on it. I spent for wood and other things for that, and just working on my worm beds over, I think, about $1,400. I've spent T-post. That's like $1,100. That's in addition to all the groundwork I've done up there, all the compost. And I've got considerable money in this garden. It's a long-term investment, but the cows are just destroying it. In some of the areas I walked, I got these areas between the beds about yay wide, so I can go back and forth. Well, they destroyed a lot of that too. They're structurally destroying a lot of stuff here. Now, here's the thing you got to know. This is free range territory. The cows have more rights than you do here. If you shoot a cow, it's a class 5 felony. Plus, you got to pay premium, the top price for that cow and whatever else they can tack a lot of fees on. So you can't just throw it on a barbecue grill. Oh yeah, I'll take care of that cow. No. It's, in fact, if a cow comes on your property and gets injured because of some modification you made to your property, like my chicken wrapper I'm worried about, the owner can sue you if it hurts their cow, because this is free range country. The cows have priority. Believe it or not, they tell you got to fence your property in. Well, it costs a lot of money to fence the whole property. I'm struggling right now to just fence in my gardens. And later on, I hope I can do all that. But, it's time and money to get all that fencing up. I do have a fence that's on my southern edge of my property, but somebody cut wires to it, probably so their cows could go through it. That's got to be repaired. I'll have to put up gates. If your gate's open, cows walk in, it's your fault here. It's your fault. Not the cows, it's your fault. Because the ranchers have the top priority. That's just the way it is. I'm going to cover some of that in the video. I'm going to do a video on cowpocalypse and monsoon season and rainwater storage and stuff like that. Let me tell you what, it rains so hard here. I've got 3 ponds back there and last year they might have had a little bit of wetness on the bottom. My big pond out this way, it almost filled up last year. And it held water for months. It filled up, but it has a huge collection area to supply. I didn't think these ponds here would ever fill up. In 30 minutes on the 20th of July, every pond I had filled up. 30 minutes. And in fact, a EF0, probably spin up tornado, actually hit near Snowflake, about 2 miles, I think, northeast of Snowflake. So, yeah, it's been interesting. But the cows are driving me nuts. They will be here as soon as the sun comes up. So it's been my rooster waking me up now, but now it's going to be moo, moo. And I know I got to get up and run them off because I got to stop the destruction. So, blank shotgun shell, trip lines, well, I shoot in the air, but it's getting where the sound don't have any meaning to them. They've heard it a few times, and now they go, hey, we've heard this. So me walking, running at them, yelling at them, they'll kind of trot off if I keep going, but I got to really run them a good ways. So, getting my exercise. That in the garden has been pretty good exercise for me, actually, believe it or not. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with here. These cows are really forcing my hand. I'm trying to get this fence in. if I'd had my way, it would have been a little earlier, but I didn't get the fence post. And here's the funny thing. This is a cow ranch. I just went by Tractor Supply looking at their electric fencing. Suddenly, they 8-foot fence posts were there. You know, it's like, how is it that you can be in cattle country, free range country, where they got fences everywhere, and you only got fence posts tall enough when you pound them around just to keep in pot-bellied pigs? You know, that's about all most of those fence posts I was seeing. And I look on Marketplace, and everybody be selling those little short fence posts. I'm like, well, what good are those? You know, keep in a herd of pot-bellied pigs. It's about all it'd be good for. So I don't know. I've been kind of disappointed with that. Cows branded. I've seen some brands on a few of them, but they're mostly got ear tags. They got ear tags. Now, some people say they got RF tracking them. I don't believe that. I just like old-fashioned plastic ear tags to me. But anyway, Taylor, Taylor Farm Supply for fence posts. Here local. Well, I'm going to go pick up fence posts tomorrow. They came in finally after weeks on end. So I got them. I just got to go get them now. I got to get fence post, a bunch of posts I bought for corner posts and some other things. And I did bring a bunch of posts from Alabama that I used for those. Remember those barrel worm beds? I had a huge frame of posts and wood. Those are mounted up. I brought those posts here, and I've been using some of them. I use some of those as support material. The main post will come from where I just bought them. So I got two things to pick up tomorrow. I got to turn into the trencher, so we'll do all that at once. But yeah, I've had my hands full here. Normally I've been spending 2 to 4 hours a day in the garden. And now that it's raining, you think I'd get a break for that and have more time to do videos, but instead I've been chasing cows. That's been, I've not been getting much break here, so I've not been seeing me much. Now I got a problem issue. My Zoom, I just got a notification from Zoom that the payment failed. Yeah, well, I only got one credit card I'm using now, and it's maxed out from renting this trencher. And if Zoom may not allow me to do videos in a day or two, they may shut me off. So I'm gonna have to switch from using my phone or just recording. And I've been doing some recordings I've been planning to edit and put together and post. Just stuff out here on the homestead. Question is just getting the time to do it. Again, I work a full-time day job, and it's a very demanding day job right now. Sad thing about that is our contract's up in a month, roughly. The end of August, it's up. And so we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. There's been some talk I might could have another job, but I'd have to relocate to Alabama. And that would be problematic because then I'd have to hire somebody like after this place. I'd still have to drive back and forth. And I don't think I'm not sure the finances don't look good for an operation like that. So it's problematic. Oh, check this out. Here's my sticker from voting. Although I voted several days ago, and I'm trying to stick it on this shirt after having on a different shirt that don't want to stick now because I had it on a different shirt. This is a little patch we get from voting in the midterms here in Navajo County. Let's put some light on, we can see it. Isn't that a cool patch for voting? Navajo Indian, that's the county symbol. Although this county's got Navajo, it's got Apache. We got a huge Apache reservation to south here. I'll probably see more Apaches than I see Navajo because I go to Show Low a lot. If I go to Holbrook, I see a lot of Navajo and the Hopis. So you got 3 different tribes of Indians that live in this county. Let's name Navajo County. It's got 3 different tribes that live here, and there are more Indians, more Native Americans than there are white people in this county. So this county, I'm a minority in this county. I don't have any problem with that. So last few years have sucked in NAZ. Remember that. This one is going to be real monsoon. Yeah. When I first started coming out here in 2023, it was actually pretty wet out here. It was wet out here in the desert. In fact, so wet that my big white van, the one I lived in for a long time, it was covered from top to bottom in mud. I got pulled over because the cops thought I didn't have a tag. It was just coated in mud completely. It dried and it just looked like a white plate. Scraped it off. There's all the numbers that were there. So, but that was also an El Nino year. The next 2 years was dry as a bone. I mean, dry. And this year, El Nino year. This year we got a super El Nino, so maybe we'll get a lot of water this year. We'll have to see how that works out. But you can't bank on it, especially if you're not in El Nino year. Never El Nino doesn't necessarily produce big monsoons. Now, there's certain areas the monsoon season's better than others. Apparently, right here is not one of them. My juniper trees were dying. They probably will still be dying. They're looking rough. It looks like they've been this long-term drought has been hitting them hard. But this will definitely help. In 2023, they were loaded with juniper berries. This year, none. But maybe after all these rains, they'll come back. Oh, I'll show you something. I want to show you a couple of things before we wrap up here. Y'all see this picture. Took a photo today of something from my homestead. I want y'all to see this. So I'm trying to make it bigger. You'll see that. That was on my homestead today. When I first saw it, I thought it was a piece of plastic. But man, I got to pick that up. It was a flower. So, isn't that pretty? And if y'all see what the cows did in my garden beds. Trump. Yeah, see it's plants down here in the bottom. Trump. Man, they just tore stuff up. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna do some video on this stuff. I got some video material I'm putting together. A couple of things I'll show you. Danny King turned 6. Who's Danny King? He's a few months younger than me. RT Matt, last few years have, oh yeah, you just read that. Here's a piece. I find a lot of petrified wood out here. Apparently, this property had some really interesting petrified wood, but the woman who owned this place before me was a Navajo. She sold it. I didn't take it from her. She sold it. Okay. But she is, like I said, that she was taking basket loads of that stuff in and out. Just basket loads of really nice petrified wood. So I assume all the good stuff was long ago taken out. No, nothing better than this. What is it? Oh, there we go. Let me turn the slide around when y'all do this. No, that ain't the best one I found. This looks like a shot, don't it? Looks like, see, this was not perfectly spherical. I found one a couple of days ago that was. I don't know where. I think it fell off on the floor. It rolled off here on the floor. I can't find it right now. Here's another one that's near spherical. Sometimes I find these that are nearly spherical. Some people call them shaman stones. I think these are ejecti from when meteor crater were formed that came out. If they're spherical, they probably went up into space, solidified, and then fell back through the atmosphere. So they probably were in 0G is molten material. I don't know if it's part of the meteorite. That are not magnetic, but they look metallic. At least ones I tested look magnetic. That one might be these are. So I think those came from the formation of meteor crater. Now maybe some of you on here's another little piece of petrified wood. Maybe some of you guys, I got some nicer pieces. Some of them have beautiful crystalline agate and all kind of other pretty stuff in them. Because of the way things crystallize when the petrified wood forms. If you ever been to the petrified forest, oh wow. So maybe I'll do a video from there one day. Danny and Wanda King at Deep South. Oh, and Peach Grove. He says he watches you. All right, cool. Well, just right behind me in age then. Deep South Homestead. Very good. Glad to hear that. So he hasn't been speaking up much in the chat room. I don't think. What would be his username in the chat room? It's not one a. Have you set up your aquaponics yet? No, I'm not got it, my aquaponics going again. That's down the road. I do hope to do some of that. But I think I'm gonna start doing a lot more homestead videos. And I'll probably move the news content over to Soilhead News. So I had debated doing that and been told not to do it, but I think I'm gonna do that. As if I stay here. If I wind up taking a temporary job somewhere else for a while, then I might pay some caretakers look after this place. So I will be coming back. This is my home now. This is where I'll be living. Unless something crazy happens. But yeah, I'm on the verge of losing my job because the contract's it's interesting work, but the management is kind of I don't know, some strange going on. I can't talk about it. So there's something strange going on. Let's put it this way: we're losing a lot of people voluntarily that are going chung, 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 chung. Don't we good? The work is interesting, but yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna read through I'm gonna scan through the chat just a little bit. Like I said, we finished the main news section for our coffee club people in the morning. We're getting close to 1 a.m. I definitely want to wrap up by then because these cows are going to have me up in a little bit here. So John Cole, Mag Rising, good to see you here. 58 Soul Rider, 5x5. Oh, I got my I did some troubleshooting my camera on and got it working again. It actually is having a voltage issue. But it had power, but it just wasn't right. So I had to make some adjustments. John and Sing Gypsy. John and Cing. Jeez. Sing Gypsy. What's that? Cage Dalton, United States. We'll go on the cards. Yes. I bet I actually looked at most of these comments. All right, maybe not this part. Ireland had enough no mainstream coverage. I'm surprising there. Growing pain, says Steve. Okay. Good seeing the house, Chewy. Been a little while. Stan the man. James Couch X. All right, cows. Let's see. Yeah, we talked about that. All right, so I read through. Always love your content. Well, I appreciate that. Make sure people that you give me a thumbs up and make a comment after I post a video. Am I banned from your channel by a rogue mod? No, you're not banned. I see you. You're banned, I wouldn't see you. No, you're not banned. I have had occasions where a mod accidentally hit somebody. I have actually went in and upon knowing that reversed it, but I don't, I don't always see. Sometimes what happens in mods happens so fast, I don't always see it. So I'm going to check here, see if I got any donation. Well, you get one super chat tonight. That's great. Let's make any donations through my website. Because if I did, I want to give credit for it. Email. There we go. Well, somebody submitted the web form. Appreciate that. All righty. All righty, folks. So let's do this. We're going to do our egg count, our egg guess And we're about to call it a night here real quick. Some cows are going to get me up early. So I want to show you now this first egg I want to show you actually got a couple days ago. And so it's tiny little egg. I've gotten one like this, I only got a couple like this. And there's usually like no formed yolk inside. And just the business just wasn't done when that little egg got laid. It's kind of funny. All righty, folks. Time to guess. How many eggs did I harvest today? How many eggs I harvest today? Oh, wake up. You should have caught the first part of the video. Talked about it a lot. Now, I don't think it'll be a forever war. It's not going to be a forever war. It'll probably be over pretty soon. Hoping. All right, egg guesses, guys. How many eggs I harvest today? Lori got it. Lori Otto. She used to come see me when I was at the farmers market, Madison City Farmers Market. She's a local to where I used to live. Lori got the number 5. I got 5 eggs today. 5 eggs. So Lori, good to see you in the house. Glad to know you're here. 5 eggs, guys. All right. Let's let the count stop. Quick guessing, and in a moment we'll guess on how many of those 5 are Easter eggs. All right, I don't see any more numbers coming through. So how many of these 5 were Easter eggs? Good to see you, Lori. You're up late, girl. Or you're up early, I don't know which. How many of my 5 eggs are Easter eggs? I got 15 hens now, so I didn't get that many for today. All right, guess again. All right, Mudslinger got it. Mudslinger, 3. 3 Easter eggs. I'll show them to you. Mudslinger got it. Yes. These 2 and that one are the Easter eggs. So put a little light on them. So they're kind of a light blue color. Kind of hard to tell under a yellow light, but they're light blue colored. Yesterday, I had 9 eggs yesterday. A lot of days are laying 7, but I had 9 eggs yesterday. Yesterday was a little higher than normal. I should be getting more now. Hey, we got a good super chat. Wow. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. All right, Matt. That's one of the best super chat I've had in a long time. Actually, thanks to that super chat, I got to have like $100 total from YouTube for them to pay me by the end of the month. If you don't have $100 in your ad revenue and super chats, they won't pay you. They'll hold it back. So now I get paid this month. So you just put me over the top. You made it work. So I'll get a check I get a deposit from YouTube, from Google AdSense this month. I was on track, looked like I wasn't going to get it. Because they only, ads, all those ads they run, I only get about $5 for them. Sometimes like $5.41, just pitiful. How much they don't pay Jack Dill anymore, are they? And they run a ton of ads. So that's one reason I promote switchwithgreg.com. I'm going to be bringing back apparently the Defy the Grid with the gold. They changed how you do the affiliate program. I've got to come up with some affiliate links instead of a coupon code. So I got to work on that. That will buy me a coffee. I tried to set that up once upon a time, and it didn't work right for me. I don't know what was wrong. I did get an account, and I tried to set that up, and it just didn't quite work right. If you go to greengregs.com, my old worm website, if you go to the page to order worms, there's a donate button there. And I got there's about 2 or 3 people send me donations through that. Sometimes, hey, Fazeli, how you doing? So I get 2 or 3 through that occasionally. All right, this has been the best night in super chats from in a while. So I really appreciate that with Mendelik or Mindalik, how I guess it's Mendelik and Armat. So we're gonna wrap it up now. It's almost 1 in the morning here, and I'll be up. Cows will be out there moving in about 3 hours. It's Taco Saturday. Okay. So they'll be out here moving. Never stop. Okay, appreciate that. Hello from France. We got France. Oh, Karen, how you doing? You're in France now. All right, very good. How you liking France, Karen? Like it, or did you move there, or are you just vacationing? I've lost weight. I couldn't wear this shirt a month ago, 2 months ago. No, not even a month ago. I've lost 25 pounds in the last few months. 25 pounds, guys. Hey, Wizard, how you doing? Yeah, it's wake up 9/11. Yes, wake up time. Wake up 9/11. Yes, wake up. Wildfires. Yes, I'm moved for now. Well, I hope you like it there, Karen. I hope you like it there. I hope everything's working out for you. Be nice to hear more about what's going on you're looking for. Well, thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. So, yeah, I've lost some weight. At my age, losing weight is extremely difficult. Things that used to work don't work anymore. So I got to take a lot of steps and measures to lose weight. But it helps, especially when I got a lot of walking around the garden to do. The less weight I got to carry, the easier it is to walk around and do stuff. When you're out in the garden 2 to 4 hours a day and you're carrying a lot of weight, that's tough, especially when you spend a lot of time on the desk thinking a keyboard. So at least I've gotten away from that. And so the gardening has been good for my health. Nami M1, love you, Greg. Love to you, chat. Appreciate that. I hope the other chatters appreciate that too. So, Steve, appreciate that. Hope you have a water collection system in place. I got a rainwater collection tank behind the house. I've got ponds. I need to get a way to collect that water up. So I'm going to do a video on that. We're going to talk about that specifically in the near future. I'm working up 2 worm videos. Been a long time since I've done worm videos. So I want to go back to that. And you're going to start seeing gardening videos. If you can grow stuff in the desert, you can grow it anywhere. That's my philosophy. If you can grow in the desert, then you can garden anywhere. The only thing out here that's better and easier to deal with in Alabama is weeds. Here, if I see a weed, I encourage it to grow. Because good soil's leaving soil. Any other plant I can get in my soil. In Alabama, if you didn't hoe your garden, 2 weeks later, you had to come back with a chainsaw. It's way different than that. The Chinese know how to have a marginal diet. Yeah. Actually, I hadn't been to a restaurant in months. I went to a Chinese restaurant and had a buffet Friday night. Anyway, it's been months since I've been out anywhere. All right, folks. All right, I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate y'all watching. Mendelek, Armat. Thank you so much for the super chat. I want to thank you mods for keeping the channel clean. I want to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to hit the thumbs up. Let me see where we're at on thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up if you hadn't already. We need to, this platform stumps me down. I was watching a video where some girl, who's got a channel that she had less than 20,000 subscribers and she was making hundreds of dollars, well over $100 a video, $130 or something like that. That's crazy. And she's just talking about little esoteric things like she's running DoorDash and going here, nothing. great hot topics, but she's beating my pants off. So 74 thumbs up, 94 and a half. All right, 20 of you had. It'd be more than that because it's probably been 94 watching. We probably had 300 or 400 people watch the duration of the video. The guys, give me some thumbs up. Please help me out with the algorithm that has no rhythm. Yeah, God bless. I agree with that. Wake up 9/11. Stan the Man says water collection and filtration is very important. I hear you. The rainwater runs off the ground, has suspended silt, mainly clay in it, and it just don't ever settle out. You know, I had my pond out there for months, and that stuff was always suspended in the water. But when it does drain down, it will make your pond hold water better. So that's a good thing about it. I'll talk all about that in the future. I'm going to do some videos on that stuff. Again, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Super Chatters. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I'm going to try to get out another couple of videos. I need to do something on galactic rays. I need to do something on Swivelhead news. And I might go live on Swivelhead. I don't know. I got some topic stuff I want to cover, and just finding the time to do it is really tough. Finding the time. But eventually going to start sending some content on gardening and worms. At least I hope I can find the time to edit what I'm producing. So again, thank you all for being here. To one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are. Ho, ho, ho. Great night. I always loved that. So I'd always said just for her back in the day. She was on our regulars for a long time. She passed away with us. She passed away. So